Hello students, welcome to my next online class. So in this video I am going to explain the next unit, that is vector. So though I have given the basic concept of these common topics in my previous interactive classes, so here I am going to give you the notes and we will discuss the topics detailedly. So vectors are those quantities which have magnitude as well as they have direction. Okay, so you see, when we say force have direction as well as magnitude. So vector quantity is denoted by an arrow sign above the physical quantity. Now when we say there is an arrow here top of any alphabet, we say that is a vector quantity. Similarly, when we say scalar quantities, so scalar quantities are those quantities which have only magnitude but they don't have any direction. Now when I say types of vector can be of two types, that is polar vector, axial vector. So any vector which has as a starting point or a point of application, we say those are polar vector. Like force, when you apply a force on any block, the block will move, so the movement of the block will be in a single direction. So as it is moving in a single direction, that is a specified direction, we say they have a particular point of application and particular direction of movement. So these are polar vector. So force comes under polar vector. Similarly, displacement also a polar vector. Now axial vectors are those vectors which represent rotational effect, like torque. When I say torque is also vector quantity. Torque equals to force into perpendicular distance. Okay, so this is also a axial vector. That means it gives a rotational effect. So rotational force we know that is torque. So this rotational force that comes under axial vectors. Okay, they act along the line of rotation. Now this is according to right hand screw rule. Like angular velocity, angular momentum and this torque all comes under axial vector. Scalar quantities are those quantities, as already I have told, they have magnitude but no direction, and their complete representations are called scalars, like distance, speed, work, mass, density, these all. So these all are scalar quantities. So scalar quantities can be added, they can be subtracted, they can be multiplied, they can be divided by simple algebraic laws. But whereas vectors can be added, they cannot be added with algebraic laws, but there is a vector laws will be applicable there in terms of vector quantities. Now there are one more category, that are tensors. They are called tensors, T-E-N-S-O-R-S, tensors, right? So these are those physical quantities which have different values in different direction at the same point. Like these tensors, like you consider as a refractive index, whether it be modulus of elasticity, whether it be radius of gyration. So these are the examples of tensors. That means they have different values in different direction at the same point. Like you say the refractive index, we know refractive index is defined as speed of light in air or vacuum to the speed of light in a given medium. So like they have different values in different direction, like their values are getting changed as the direction is getting changed with the same point of application. That means same substance, same refractive index, its values gets changed, right? In the simple words, we can say the magnitude of tensor is not unique. That means they don't have a fixed value. Okay, they have a different value in different direction. So different types of vector. Equal vectors are those vectors which have equal magnitude and they are pointing in the same direction. That means they are moving in the same direction and they have equal magnitude, right? Like we say that a vector is having a magnitude of 3, b vector is having a magnitude also of 3, and both a vector and b vector are moving in same direction. So these vector quantities, as they are in same direction and they have a magnitude of 3, that means the value of 3, so we say that they are equal vectors. Similarly, negative vectors, so vector a and b, both these vectors, they have same magnitude but they are moving in opposite direction. So this type of vector we call it as negative vector, right? Now when I say negative vector, how we'll denote actually? So negative vector we can denote like this: a vector equals to minus b vector, right? So though their magnitude is same, you see, but minus sign indicates that they are in opposite direction. And zero vectors are those vectors which have zero magnitude and their direction is not defined. Okay, so means they have a direction but that direction is not fixed here, that is not defined, and their magnitude is 0. So we say those vectors are to be as zero vector, or we can say null vector. Like velocity of a stationary object, when an object is at stationary, so we say that there, as the object is not moving, so magnitude is 0, but as velocity is a vector quantity, so they have a direction but that is not fixed, right? Similarly, acceleration of an object moving with a uniform velocity and a resultant of two opposite vectors, that means two opposite vectors are acting at a same point. If I say there is a block and two vectors are acting opposite in the same point, like a vector and here b vector, both are acting at the same point, but their magnitude, as both the magnitudes are same and they are acting in the opposite direction of the block, so we say that there will be no movement of the block because that block is subjected to two forces which is equal and opposite. So in that case also we say that is a null vector. Unit vectors are those vectors which have a unit magnitude and they have a direction along the direction of that vector. That means unit vector is denoted by a cap, right? So this is a cap, how we denote the unit vector, and a cap formula stands like this: a vector by modulus of a. Okay, so this is how we denote the unit vector. Now what is the significance of this unit vector? You see, when I say unit vector, modulus of unit vector, so this gives the magnitude and this gives the direction. That means unit vector has both direction also and it has magnitude also. But when this magnitude of any vector is 1, that means it will become a vector equals to a. That means we can say that unit vector is equals to a given vector with having a unit magnitude. So when the magnitude of that vector is 1, so this modulus gives the unit vector. So when it is 1, that means a cap equals to a vector by 1, or we can say a vector equals to, or a cap equals to a vector. So this is how we define the unit vector, right? So in here notation, when you will see here in this case, so it will be a cap equals to a vector by modulus of a. Okay, so this one you will be noting down when you write in your exercise book. Okay, so here notation is incorrect here, and it is a dimensionless vector and it represents direction only, right? So unit vector, when I say, that means this magnitude is 1, so unit vector only gives the direction here. Orthogonal unit vectors. Now when I say there are 3 axes, if I consider this is x-axis, if this is y-axis and this is z-axis, so what will be the direction along x-axis? That is given by I cap. So this is the unit vector along x-axis. In along y direction, j cap, right? And in z direction, that is k cap. So I cap, j cap and k cap, these are the orthogonal unit vectors. So I cap is along x-axis, j cap is along y-axis and k cap is along z-axis. Okay, so this generally, these orthogonal vectors they give in CBSE, but from last few years, 2 years, we see that like previous year we have got questions from here. Okay, so I am including this one in my note. So you see that this is the orthogonal vector. Next, co-initial vectors. So vectors having a common point are called co-initial. You see their point of origin is same. Okay, so a vector is starting from 0, b vector is also starting from 0, so these are vectors are called co-initial vectors. It is also called co-terminal vector. Okay, co-initial vectors are called co-terminal. Now co-terminal, when I say this, just opposite here, when two vectors, when they end in a fixed direction. Okay, so if this is v vector and this is a vector, so this is also called co-terminal vector, means both the vectors are ending at a fixed point. But here from a fixed point two vectors are starting, so this is co-initial and this is called co-terminal. Okay, collinear vectors having equal and unequal magnitudes but acting along the same or parallel line. Okay, same or parallel lines are called collinear vector. No need to write here AB here. So few vectors, like you see some vectors, they are acting in a same line, like we say collinear points are those points to act in a same straight line, or few vectors they are parallel to each other. Okay, their magnitude may be same, their magnitude may be different, but they are acting along the same parallel lines. These are called collinear vectors. Okay, coplanar vectors are those vectors which act in a same plane. You see from the name itself we can understand that coplanar. Okay, co means here generally same, so if the vectors are acting in a same plane, then they are called coplanar. Now what are the planes here? Now when I say x-axis and y-axis, that means this is xy plane. Now if any vectors are acting in a same plane, that means between this quadrant, so we say that they are coplanar vectors. Okay, they are in same plane, that means xy plane. Localized vector whose initial point is fixed is called localized vector. Now you see there will be a confusion, like just now I told that if any vector is two vectors are starting from point O, one is a vector and one is b vector, this is called co-initial vector. Okay, now this point, if it is fixed, means every time the vector is arising from the same point O, then we say that is a localized vector. But for a time being, if two forces are acting at a same point for a small period of time, then we say that is co-initial vector. That means initial position of a given vector from a single point, two vectors from a single point, it is for temporary, then we say co-initial, and if it is fixed, then we say localized vector. The opposite, the converse of localized vector is the free vector. So a vector whose initial point is not fixed are called non-localized or free vector. Okay, now position vector, when I say, like for example this is xy plane. In xy plane I need to locate here 2 points, right? So this point, let us consider this is a point and this is b point. Now I want to locate these 2 points here, this point and this point in the graph. So what we will do, we will draw one vector from the origin, and here also we'll draw one vector from the origin. So this vector A and vector B, so that time we'll say OA vector and OB vector. This OA vector and OB vector, they are called position vector. So position vectors are those vectors which specify the particular point in a given plane. That means by OA vector and OB vector we can specify the position of a given point. Okay, so these are the position vector. So here in the notes you see a vector representing the straight line distance and direction of any point or object with respect to the origin is called position vector. So in any plane x and y, if we can specify the position of two vectors, like this is position B and this is position A and this is O, so OA and OB are the position vector. Okay, by OA we can specify a point A, by OB position vector we can specify the point which is particle which is at point B. Okay, so OA and OB are the position vector. So once we get the position vector here, like this is O and this A, that means OA and OB are the position vectors. So the shortest distance between AB, this vector, that is AB vector, this is called displacement vector. So first, in order to find a displacement vector, we need to find position vector. So after finding position vector, we'll find the distance between A to B, or we can say OB minus OA. Okay, this is how we denote. Like this one, when I say AB, so AB equals to OB minus OA. Okay, vector sign must be there. So this is displacement vector, right? So displacement vector equals to OB minus OA, or it can be also written as AB vector. Next we have triangle law of vector. This is very important, right? So every time the questions, it seems to come from here. Now if two vectors are acting in the same order, like for example one vector is here, it is starting from O, OA, and from A another vector is also starting, that is at point B, right? So if two vectors are acting at a point such a way, like the two sides of a triangle, then the third side will give the resultant which close that triangle, that will act as a resultant. So this is triangle law of vector addition, or we say triangle law of vectors. Okay, so if two vectors acting at a point are represented in magnitude and direction by the two sides of the triangle taken in one order, then the resultant is represented by the third side of the triangle taken in the opposite order, right? So you see, this is the triangle law of vector addition. That means one vector is acting here, one vector is acting here, and resultant is acting as a third side of the triangle. Now if we need to find here what will be the resultant vector, that means resultant vector will be A vector plus B vector, right? So this is the triangle law of vector addition, A vector plus B vector. But in case if the direction of B is opposite, now if the direction of B is opposite, that time we will consider it as negative vector. So if I consider this one vector and this is the other vector, right? Now if it is moving in the opposite direction, that time we will consider this vector to be as A vector plus minus B vector. Okay, so A vector plus minus B vector equals to R vector. So in that case we will get plus minus minus, that means A vector minus B vector. So this is also a triangle law of addition, but in here the B vector, it is not in the same order. Now if we need to find the direction of this triangle law of vector addition, direction here, you see, if we consider beta is the angle subtended by a resultant with the A vector, then tan beta equals to B sin theta total divided by A plus B cos theta. So this formula will be applied. Okay, so this formula is important. So in order to find the angle between a resultant and one of the two vectors. So like triangle law of vector addition, we have parallelogram law of vector addition. Similarly, if two vectors are acting at the same point, like two sides of the parallelogram, then the resultant will give the diagonal drawn from the initial point O will give the resultant of these two vectors. Okay, so in this case also you see two vectors are acting at a particular point, and here if we need to find the direction of the two vectors, means the resultant with one of the vector, then it is given by tan beta equals to B sin theta total divided by A plus B cos theta, and its resultant is given by root under A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Okay, so this is the formula here. Now in some book you will be finding that it is written in P square plus Q square, that is P vector and Q vector. So more or less it is same here, just A and B is replaced by P and Q. Okay, so you need to remember the definition of this parallelogram law of vector, and from your textbook, whichever textbook you are following, you see its derivation. Okay, derivation is also important, so derivation also you will see it's not so tough. So here you have to consider, in the derivation you have to consider here two triangle, here one construct. If I consider this point to be as point E and this point to be as point M, so in the derivation you will see, and let us consider this point to be as D. So in the derivation you will see we have to consider two triangle, that is MOE and MOD. Okay, so by considering these two triangle and we have to calculate sine and cos, we will get the formula, that is R vector equals to root under A square plus B square plus 2AB. So this root under is in total. Okay, so R vector, so R vector equals to, that is resultant of parallelogram law, is root under A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Now one thing you note here, so from this parallelogram law of vector we can get the vector law, that is triangle law of vector also. Like you see, if I consider this vector A and this vector B, they are in 90 degree to each other and we need to find its resultant. So here if we place here, or you can say that two vectors are in the same direction, that means both the vector which is acting, they are in same direction. So when we say same direction, that means that is 0 degree. So when we will substitute this 0 degree here in the formula, that means cos 0 we know 1, A square plus B square plus 2AB, that means A plus B whole square. So A plus B whole square will get root under, so square and root under will get cancelled. In that case R vector we will get A vector plus B vector, that means that is according to triangle law. Okay, so when the vectors are acting in the same direction, but if they are not acting in the same direction, they are acting at a particular direction, then we will use this formula. Okay, so this will be used in numericals, like we say that two vectors are having magnitude 5 and 4 and they are acting in different direction of angle 30 degree. So what will be the resultant? In that case we will substitute these values here. So we will place a cos 30 and in place of A and B we will put the magnitude, right? Like this how we calculate for the resultant for the parallelogram law of vectors. Next we have polygonal law of vectors. First we will see if multiple vectors are acting at a same point. Let us consider A vector, B vector, C vector, D vector, E vector. So if these 5 vectors are acting at a particular point in a same order, then the closing end will give the resultant, right? So if number of vectors acting on a particle at the same time represented in magnitude and direction by the various sides and open polygon take in the same order, then the resultant vector E is represented in magnitude and direction by the closing side of the polygon, which is taken in the opposite order. You see resultant R equals to AB, A plus B plus C plus D plus E, where R is the resultant vector. So in R as the resultant vector, so R means here OE. So this OE is the resultant vector which gives the resultant of this all the vectors acting at a particular point, right? So this is also a polygonal law of vectors. That means the vector which is acting at a particular point, they are acting like a sides of the polygon, and the resultant is given by the closing end. Like scalar quantities can be added algebraically, but there are properties for the vector addition. So vector addition follows commutative property. Commutative means here when I say 2 plus 3, that is 5. Similarly 3 plus 2 is also 5. So we say that this is commutative law. That means A plus B equals to B plus A, right? Next we have associative law. That means A plus B plus C must be equals to B plus C plus A or C plus A plus B. So vector follows commutative law, vector follows associative law. Vectors also follow distributive law. That means M within the bracket A plus B, so M will be get multiplied here. That means we will get MA plus MB. So these are the properties of vector addition. Now rotation of vector. So few vectors are there, they are moving in a circular direction and their direction is tangential. Okay, so they are rotated through an angle of 0 degree, so which is not an integral of 2 pi, that means which is not integral multiple of 360 degree. If the frame of reference is rotated or translated, the given vector does not change. The components of vector may however change. That means what is said here, like when an object is moving in a circular direction, each and every point the direction is getting changed, the tangential direction is getting changed, but all will give the same direction, means same direction of rotation, like whether all be in clockwise or all will be in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, from a frame of reference, that means for a particular body. Resolution of vector into rectangular components. From the diagram it is clear, you see, when two vectors are acting in x-axis and y-axis. So let us consider ax is the magnitude of vector which is acting along x-axis, ay is the magnitude which is acting along y-axis. So a is the resultant of these two vectors. So if we take this triangle like OMD, in this triangle if we need to calculate sine theta, so sine theta equals to perpendicular by hypotenuse. So what will be the perpendicular here? That means perpendicular, it is here ay, because as this is ay, so this will also be ay, MD is also ay. So sine theta will be equals to here ay by a, right? Now if you cross multiply, we will get ay equals to a sine theta. Okay, so you see ay equals to a sine theta. So this is the vertical component. Similarly, from the same triangle, if you take cos theta, so cos theta will be ax by a, or ax equals to a cos theta. So this is the horizontal component. So if I consider this one as equation number 1 and this as equation number 2, that means ax equals to a cos theta equals to 1, ay equals to a sin theta equation number 2. Now if we square both the equation and if we add equation 1 and 2, then we will get ax square plus ay square equals to a, because right hand side when it will get squared and added, that will a square cos square theta plus a square sin square theta. So a square if we take common, then sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So therefore we can write a square or a equals to root under ax square plus ay square. Okay, so what is the magnitude of that resultant? That is given by a equals to root under ax square, not minus. Here the note is given minus, but it will be positive only, right? So this one I am talking about, a equals to root under ax square plus ay square. So from these two equations, like equation number 1 and equation number 2, if we divide equation 2 by 1, then we will get tan theta equals to ay by ax. Direction cosines of vector. If any vector a subtended angles alpha, beta and gamma with x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, then cos alpha can be written as ax by a, cos beta can be written as ay by a, and cos gamma can be written as az by a. And if you all square and you add, always you will get unity, right? So one thing you note, if resultant equals to, from the triangle law we have learned, if resultant equals to r vector equals to a vector plus b vector, this is called resultant vector, right? Now from a given resultant vector, if we can split into two or more components, then that is called resolution vector. Okay, that is also you can add in the definition of resolution vector. So what do you mean by resolution of vector? So resolution vector is defined as those vector in which a resultant vector is being splitted up into two or more components. If two single vector add up and give the resultant, then the resultant vector can be splitted to get the smaller components. Like total vector was a, so from the total vector we can get its horizontal component by this formula ax a cos theta, and we can get the vertical component by ay equals to a sin theta. Okay, once we know the angle that is resulted with the horizontal, so then we can get the other two vectors also. Okay, so this is the significance of resolution of vector. Subtraction of vector, as already I have told, if a vector and b vector both are having a same magnitude but b vector is in opposite direction of a vector, now when we add these two vectors we will get a minus b, that is plus minus minus, so a minus b, right? Subtraction of two vectors is also possible here. Multiplication of vector, now it can be, vector can be multiplied by a real number, vector can be multiplied by a scalar. So one thing you have to remember, whenever any vector quantity is multiplied by any real number n, then its magnitude becomes n times, but direction and unit remains unchanged. Okay, like if I say m is one vector, if I multiply nm, so n is the real number, so the value gets increased, that means it becomes n times, but direction and units remains same. So when we multiply with a real number, its direction and units remain same, but only the value increase n times. But in case if we multiply a vector by a scalar quantity, what happens? When the scalar quantity s is multiplied to a vector a quantity, then it becomes s times, and units which we'll get after multiplication of the scalar vector will be the product of unit of a and s, but the direction remains same. So you see, in the real vector also direction remains same, in scalar vector also direction remains same when it is multiplied to vector quantity. But what is different here? Here it becomes n times and here it becomes s times, but here units remains same here, that is unchanged, but here units becomes product of vector quantity and the scalar quantity, only the units gets changed. Apart from this, their value also becomes s times and n times, and they are acting in a same direction. Okay, so again, in terms of a numerical value, this is dot product and scalar product, or cross product or vector product, this is also important. So a dot b vector, if I say a dot b, okay, this here you see that a asterisk b is given, but actually it is a vector dot b vector equals to ab cos theta. This is the formula, right? So in my next video I will be giving the numericals which will be based upon this dot product and cross product, but for this class, so in this notes just I will be providing you the concept or the basic concept of this scalar quantity and vector quantity. So scalar or dot product of two vectors is also a scalar, right? So this is how it represent. Now vector product is not commutative, first of all. Okay, a cross b not equals to b cross a, okay, because a cross b equals to minus b cross a. Okay, so vector product is not commutative. Vector product is distributive. Vector product of two parallel vectors is 0. So when I say two parallel vectors, that means here theta equals to 0 here. Now here formula gets changed. In dot product we have seen it is a dot b equals to ab cos theta, but in cross product we will have a cross b vector equals to ab sin theta. Okay, so this is the formula, sin theta. So sin theta in case of vector product and cos theta in case of scalar product. So vector product of any vector with itself is 0, that means a vector cross a vector, that is a dot a, that is sin 0. Vector product of orthogonal unit vectors, vector product in Cartesian coordinates. So this Cartesian coordinate and orthogonal vectors are the vector that is acting along the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, that is I cap, y cap and j cap. So I dot I, when two vectors, that is dot multiplication, that is scalar multiplication, I dot I equals to 1, that is I cap dot I cap equals to 1, j cap dot j cap equals to 1, right? k cap dot k cap equals to 1, right? So this was in case of scalar multiplication, but in case of vector product, that means I cap cross I cap, that will be 0, j cap dot j cap will be 0, and k cap cross k cap will be also be 0, right? So this will be more clear when we will solve numericals. Okay, so in my next video I will be giving the numericals also based upon this scalar product and vector product. So for the time being, you just remember that a dot b vector equals to ab cos theta in case of dot product, a vector cross b vector equals to ab sin theta in case of vector product. So this is the direction of vector cross product. Like you see, two vectors are acting, they are rotating, and their axis of rotation is in upward direction. Okay, that is given by right hand screw rule, or you can say that is given by thumb rule. Okay, so when you hold your thumb that is in acting in upward direction, the curl of the finger gives the rotation. So you need to remember the definition of the right hand thumb rule and the right hand screw rule. So this projectile motion, so in my after the numericals I will be going much more detail in this projectile motion. So just I will give a hint here what is projectile motion. So projectiles, we say those objects which are thrown with some initial velocity and they move with by its that velocity without any propulsion of any fuel. Okay, like for example, when we throw one rocket, right, rocket is moving up, so it is moving with some initial velocity, but after some time it is using its fuel. So that time we say it is not a projectile here. But when we throw a stone with some initial velocity, then after due to force of gravity it falls down. Now if I say it is being thrown from a certain height, from a ground from a certain height, then after a certain point it will fall down, right? It was projected with some initial velocity, so this is called projectile, and this total transaction or the trajectory, we say that is projectile motion. In a projectile motion can be when an object is thrown from a ground, or it can be when an object is thrown from some vertical height. So when an object is made to throw from a vertical height, so it has two velocities, one is along horizontal direction and one along vertical direction. So velocity along vertical direction is due to gravitation, that is force of gravity, and x direction does not change as the acceleration is 0. As the velocity is 0 here along the horizontal direction, so acceleration along horizontal is also 0. So in projectile motion, when an object is thrown from a certain height or when it is thrown from a ground level, so one component is along horizontal direction without any acceleration, that means velocity along x-axis does not change, whereas vertical direction with constant acceleration changes due to force of gravity. So an object that is in flight after being thrown or projected is called projectile. Okay, such as projectile might be a football, a cricket ball, or baseball, or any other object or a stone which you are throwing, right? Last topic of today's class, that is uniform circular motion. So when an object follows a circular path at a constant speed, the motion of that object is said to be uniform circular motion. Now when I say it is moving in a circular path, so as it is moving in a circular path, the speed is same, but the direction is changing at each and every position, right? So we say that it is in uniform circular motion as the speed is constant. Okay, so this is our end of our topics from this chapter. So you need to write these notes in your exercise book, and very soon I'm going to give your numericals also. So goodbye.